Great. Well, it is just about time to get started. So, first of all, there is a workbook in the chat. If you didn't download it from the meeting invitation, you might want that today because of two reasons. One, because it is really, really nice to have the prompts so that you can copy and paste prompts. It saves you a lot of typing. And the other thing is that I'm kind of old-fashioned. I like to take notes with a pen, and I feel like I actually attended a workshop if I end up with written notes, that I can go through after the fact. Being that kind of old-fashioned person, I usually do printable workbooks for all of our workshops. I don't know how you guys feel about that, especially some of your younger folks.
Well, I'm not a young folk, but I refuse to grow up.
I refuse to grow up. I hear you. Me too. All right, so we're going to start with 3 questions, and these are the ones that we've had in our LinkedIn poll. Which part of aviation marketing do you think AI will transform first? I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that before we reveal the answer.
Well, that makes an awfully huge assumption, I think.
Of course, that it will transform something, and it already has, I think.
No, I think even before that, I think it assumes that AI will get to a point, well, it will do it, but right now, as far as I'm concerned, if you aren't in there swinging and kicking, it's going to be trash.
Right. So these are the answers, basically. Market analysis, 40.6%. Content creation, 31.7%. Customer experience, 13.9%. And lead generation, 13.9%. So, yeah. I think it's going to transform everything in one way or another. It's just a question of how, which is going to happen first. And, the interesting thing is the things that AI is really, really good at are data crunching, not necessarily creative creation, although that seems to be the most visible change that has happened. People are starting to see AI generated content everywhere. We run a version of this webinar every year, and every year it changes. And I think what's changed even more than the technology is people's attitudes about it. When we ran this, Adila, you remember when we ran this workshop 3 years ago, there were at least 2 of our clients that said, we never, ever, ever, ever want any of our stuff touched by AI. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And now, yeah.
Our thoughts were also the same.
Mm-hmm. We did not want any of our posts generated by AI as well, because it just wasn't that good yet. And, it was obvious and it was clumsy and it was, a lot of different things.
And all of the LinkedIn looked the same.
And all of the LinkedIn
looked the same.
Right. And I think we're getting past that now.
Yes.
There's still some obviously badly generated AI content out there, but I think it's getting significantly better. I love the fact that market analysis is number 1 because I think data crunching is the thing that AI does better than humans can. And it's kind of its native language is being able to take big pieces of data. And in aviation, of course, we've got the FAA data, we've got a bunch of other demographic data and things like that we can stick into a GPT and crunch it, and make sense of it in ways that humans would never see because there's just too much data to analyze, for a person to synthesize. So I think that's really playing to its strengths. I think content creation is probably the worst thing that AI does, but it's getting a whole lot better than it used to be, right?
Yes.
Um,
I remember one time there was this post on LinkedIn and the comments under that post were all same, and somebody also screenshot that and posted it as a post and was like, what is happening?
right. Exactly. It's just like that time when, everybody on the news was saying exactly the same line, because it was a disclaimer that was required by their networks and everything else. And it looked really, really bad because they were saying it as if it were extemporaneous speaking by all the anchors. But then somebody did a compilation of it and it was awful. it really made it look terribly mindless and things like that. So I think probably the last thing that AI will take over will be customer experience. I think that's the one thing where people are required. And of course, a lot of people would rather buy from a vending machine nowadays than from a person or use a kiosk or whatever. But our demographics are different, and and I think with complex products and services, there's always going to be that need for the human interaction, at least at the very last um, piece of that puzzle. Once somebody becomes a customer, you owe it to them to show up as a human being, at least on Zoom, right? And and be human. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next question?
I was just going to comment.
Yeah.
Um, what's not included there, I don't think, is decision making.
That's good.
And I think your handout, which thank you, Adila, for posting. I think it was Adila that posted it. It talks about could free you up for higher level thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that is exactly what we humans do better.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at self-driving cars, for example. I was in Arizona at a convention, and there was a couple of Waymos that people had ordered to have come pick them up. Well, there were so many people who were leaving the convention standing on the curb. The
Mm.
Waymos were afraid to move. And so the people finally got out and, hailed an Uber and took the Uber because they couldn't get the Waymo to move. The Waymo was afraid that they might run into people since everyone is standing literally on the curb instead
Mhm.
of, back on the sidewalk. So I think, it didn't have the decision-making skill to be able to say, oh, well, if I move forward slowly or I move a little to the left, I can get around all these people standing on the curb and it wouldn't move. It's fun.
Yeah. And it is necessarily conservative. I'm glad that they are conservative, but still, they're programmed to be careful of people. That's the prime directive of robots, right?
And I
Never
think
hurt a human.
that's the trick with AI is what was it programmed to do?
Yeah, yeah.
So, there those who have the ability to, and we actually have somebody on our team that can rewrite, if you will, some of the LLM model and get it to do things that it doesn't do natively that he
Yeah.
wants, which is kind of crazy. But anyways,
Yep, yep. Totally agree. And yeah, decision making is definitely way more than marketing. I use it in a lot of other ways, like, analyze this crazy nutrition shake my mom is taking and tell me if there's anything bad in there. Those kinds of things that, you just have nothing to do with marketing or business or anything else. If you've got it, you use it for everything, right?
yeah, it's research and it's good at
Mhm.
assembling information.
Right, right. Exactly. All right. So if you could get AI to handle one repetitive task for you, which would you prefer to automate? Anybody have any? I mean, I know you got this in the handout, so there's no surprise here. But the I think data handling for me is always the one. But and once again, we've got some of the same answers. Market research, that's my favorite, but I'm in the minority here. So some people want it to do their social media posting. I think it's part of the social media content creation process, and we'll talk about that soon. Email campaigns, I think it's got a lot of functions there that we can use as well, and we'll be talking about that. And data entry and reporting. So that's what the survey said. This is a terribly, terribly scientific survey of my LinkedIn audience, right? So I think there were probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 something people that responded to this. So not a huge market size, but at least we know that these are aviation professionals. So
The
Yeah.
problem with social media posting
yeah.
is if you have it do that, it
Mm.
enormously increases the workload on the person doing it if you're going to get an accurate result.
Mhm.
Because it may do most of the stuff okay. It really sucks with English on not just verb tense, choice of words.
Mhm.
I mean, reporters use this all the time, and I hate it.
Yeah.
But it's like they don't know English. I know what's going on. They're just using it and saying, "Hell with it, I'm good." But because they don't do the AA sandwich, they don't go check it after it's done.
Right. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that'd be interesting for me to learn or understand better is when they say, for example, social media posting, sure, drafting a response, if I'm having trouble with words, it's easy to go to, a favorite AI tool and say, here's kind of the response I'm looking for. It's going in a social media reply, whatever. Help me draft something. And
Mhm.
it provides, a starting point. It's like, okay, I can modify that.
Mhm.
Exactly.
But, I was chatting with someone who said, I had this spreadsheet and I couldn't find it. So I asked an AI tool if it knew how to write Visual Basic. And then when it said yes, I then told it to basically rebuild me the spreadsheet, which had Visual Basic automations in it. And it built the thing, and the combination of his queries and its work. He's like, I was able to completely rebuild this spreadsheet that took me previously weeks to build in literally, I don't remember the number, but it was like, an hour or something.
Wow.
And so it's like, okay, wait a minute. I have no idea when you get to that level or programmatically it's building something. And social media or like email campaigns, it's one thing to say, help me with a post
Yeah.
or help me with an email, but how do you actually then do a campaign where
Mhm.
the campaign is fully automated and the AI takes over? And even a social media, if I had checked my social media and respond to the 50, messages that I received overnight, I would be afraid
Yeah.
would respond, and I have no idea how it would do that.
Right.
So,
I
anyway,
concur.
Right. Absolutely. My team knows I spent a weekend and, John listened to me the whole time swearing at my computer. I was trying to create a database, that would pull data from the FAA database and crunch it in a certain way. And I spent about $1,000 on AWS space, so that we could download the FAA database and then crunch it. And I have no business programming a database. It's been probably 20 years since I've done anything like that. And AI was so encouraging. And so this will be easy. You can do this. We are 2 steps away for an entire weekend. And, I was just pulling my hair out. So it can, I think you have to have the background knowledge in order to um, go the right direction at certain, junctures and things like that, and the smaller the task, the more I trust it, just like anything else.
Mhm.
You start with baby steps, and then, I am never doing a monstrous project like that without having somebody involved that understands the underlying technology and everything else, because I wasted a lot of time and money on that.
And it may be okay on basic stuff,
Mhm,
but I've used it quite a bit for a lab I work with and some other stuff.
mhm.
And so I thought, I'm getting okay with this. Let me try something because every year I redo spreadsheets for cash flow and everything else. And so, okay, I can't make this thing fill in the new year where it needs to be. So I said, they'll have it. Give me a shot. Tell me how to do it.
Mhm,
And it, on a very basic spreadsheet, it could tell me how to do it. When they get into the more complicated stuff, it has no clue.
mhm.
None. I've tried. I tried too long, and I said, "Oh, well, I'll just do it."
And then you just did it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So last question, how do you feel, and probably the most important question, how do you feel about AI in aviation marketing?
the more it can do for me, the better I would feel.
Happier you are, right?
Yeah. How about aviation sales as well?
Yeah, yeah, that too. Um, so, and we've done this, like I said, this workshop every 3 years or every year for the last 3 years, and the responses have completely flipped. The first year we did it, everybody thought, everybody was skeptical. They thought that was way too much hype. Um, and now the most common answer is excited about the new possibilities and things like that. So, all of the AI people, I think, and the pervasiveness of this, um, Coca-Cola, which is kind of the nostalgia king, at least in the United States, their Christmas advertisement this year is AI produced, and they're, very open about that. So I think, there's a lot of people that are becoming a lot more accepting as it's permeating the culture and permeating other tools that we're doing, and people are getting some good results with small questions, small problems, and things like that.
Um,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I would be very careful because,
Mhm.
especially in aviation, uh, the facts are very critical. So I don't leave ChatGPT given the experience.
Yeah.
So there are a lot. Sometimes there are facts that needs to be checked because it sometimes uses the wrong aircraft or completely mess up the whole concept.
Exactly.
So
Right.
it
I
needs
use it
to
as
be
an
it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Debbie. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
I use it as an assistant
Mhm.
for like sorting information or finding ideas.
Mhm.
I also do graphic design, and there's a lot of AI tools, and I'll use it to like help remove a background, but it really doesn't come up with great, accurate graphics at this.
Yeah.
I know people are using it, but I can tell it's AI, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
And Debbie, you and Adila are going to have a really good time a couple of slides from now talking about some graphic design ideas using AI. So, yeah, I'm really excited that you're here. I'm glad that,
I think it's really good for brainstorming.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I
use
think
it
that
for
too.
that purpose.
Hmm.
But then you have to do some work. You can't
Oh,
just
yeah.
do it the other way if that's what you want to do, but I wouldn't do it that way.
Right. And I think in the workbook I mentioned, if you use AI to improve your work, that is one thing. If you use AI to be lazy, and not to supervise and not, to be negligent, then, that's going to be apparent. So it can do you a whole lot of good or a whole lot of harm, depending on how you use it. So, yeah. All right. So our task for today, we want everybody to leave with at least 3 actionable ideas that will do one of 2 things. One is to either improve your results in some area of our marketing and sales process, and the other is to save you time. So if you leave here with 3 good ideas that are going to improve your results and or save you time or both, um, then I think we've done our job here. So I'd love you to write down your writer downers or your key nuggets and things like that, and we'll go around the room at the end, and everybody can share what their favorite was because there's so much that we could do, and that's the hardest part about this kind of a workshop is what do we cover and what do we not. So that's part of the reason we did those surveys at the beginning is to find out, people want to know about email, people want to know about social media. These are the things that we're going to spend the most time on today. Sound good? Any questions or thoughts before we dive in?
Good.
All right, cool.
Good to go.
All right. Okay, so ChatGPT, which is probably one of the most pervasive AIs, was born on November 30th of 2022. My granddaughter was born in February of 2023, so they are just a few months apart. Both of them are incredibly smart, and I love them, and really have a lot of affection for them. But I would not put them in charge of anything, right at this point. They are not experienced. They've only been on this planet for a little while. They have kind of limited capabilities and things like that, and they have some growing up to do. So I think that's kind of the analogy that I use. And I know my team and I have gone the rounds about this because a lot of times we'll have something come out from ChatGPT and we're like, dude, that is terrible. Why was this not checked? And it's never, 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 never trust it. We can love it. We can take care of it. We can feed it information. We can do a lot of things with it, but we just cannot trust it at the controls of an aircraft, right? Or at the controls of our marketing or anything else. So, that's kind of how we think about it. Another thing that you need to know is that it will help you make mistakes faster and it will help you do marketing faster. And one thing that's always been true of marketing, and this is a quote from, I think, David Ogilvy from the 1930s, marketing will make a bad product fail.
Class just started. They moved
Yeah.
it an hour earlier.
Hey, Francis, good to see you.
Sorry,
Right.
good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Right. So I apologize if the time wasn't right on your invitation. I hope that was not a problem for you. Yeah, so hopefully you have the workbook. If not, it's in the chat. You're welcome to download that. That has some prompts and other things that we'll be using, and then also you can take notes using that. So yeah, I think since the 1930s, good marketing will make a bad product fail faster because more people will get to know about it. You're going to get more bad reviews. You're going to get more negative press. You're going to get a lot of things when your product is better known if your product is not ready for market. So if you have a bad product, good marketing is not your friend. And that's part of our onboarding process is we make sure that clients are aware of how this works, and the same thing is true in spades, I think, of AI. Using AI doesn't make you a better or worse person or a better or worse marketer, but if you put power tools behind a bad decision, you're going to mess things up faster. So, that's one of the things that is kind of a cautionary tale about AI. I don't know if anybody's run into any situations where that's been the case for them. But it certainly has been. I know if you're doing like a home improvement project and you don't know what you're doing, using power tools will help you mess up all the pieces. And you can be really, really destructive really fast. And the same is true, of course, of marketing. Okay. All right. So that's kind of the mindset and the thought behind using AI in marketing is we want to be very, very cautious. Just as AI or just as marketing is very powerful, using AI in marketing is even more powerful. Um, so we'll start with our wheel. This, of course, if you've been an ABCI client or if you've been to any of our webinars, this is the sales and marketing process. A lot of companies will portray this as a funnel. We use a wheel because in the aviation industry, we have a limited number of prospects, and 50% or more of our clients' business comes from referrals. So we portray this as a wheel rather than a funnel. And most sales and marketing problems can be isolated to one section of this wheel that's the weak spot. So if you're weak on prospecting or approaching or your holding pattern or your sales or your referrals or testimonials, that's where you spend the time. So we're going to talk about AI and how it fits into this wheel. So as far as AI prospecting and approaching tasks, we love building and scrubbing lists using AI. In the aviation industry, we can download data from the FAA website. We can download data from JetNet and AirPack and a lot of other sources. The problem with that data is a lot of times it is not exactly what we want. So, then we can take that data and we can scrub it against an ideal customer profile, as an example, and say, we only want companies this size or larger, or we only want people with this many planes or more, or we only want people who are in this situation or that situation. And it will help us sort through a ton of data in a very short amount of time. So that's the building and scrubbing lists. Another thing it's really good at is identifying lookalike audiences. So if we download our MailChimp or our Salesforce or our CRM data into ChatGPT as an example and say, here's our list of our best clients. Find others like this that share those characteristics. then ChatGPT can come up with a list of similar companies, similar people, similar titles, etc. And those make a really great top 10 list of people to prospect to next. Because if you're really, really good at a particular customer type, then you want to find more of them. And ChatGPT is great at that. So that's prospecting. And then if we go to our next section on the wheel, which is approaching, now we have to approach these people, right? So help me customize an email or a DM for this person. What is it about my company that they're going to find the most attractive, given their situation, given, what you know about them? And the more you know about them, the more customized that email or DM is going to be. So in all cases, this is a matter of good information in, good information out. So, we're feeding it in the prospecting situation, we're feeding it in good data in terms of the FAA data from JetNet or AirPack or some other source. We can ask it to scrub data lists against each other, and we can ask it to look for similarities and differences between those data items to help us refine our list. But then when we get to customizing emails or DMs, then we like to input data from LinkedIn, put their LinkedIn profile into ChatGPT, put their annual report into ChatGPT, put their Wikipedia entry, if it's somebody that Wikipedia has written about, into ChatGPT. The more information it has, the more specific it's going to be in customizing an email or a DM to approach that new prospect.
I think you hit on a point here, and that is that scrubbing lists, as long as the data is there, it can do this. It can do whatever you ask it to do, probably close to 100%.
Yeah.
It's when you ask it for analysis that it goes nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like we said earlier, the smaller the task or the more specific the task, the better it does. And the better your directions, the better it will do. So if you just ask it for, help me find 10 ideal customers, it has no idea what that is, and it has no data to work from. So
Well,
of course it's
and
going to
as
go
an
crazy.
example,
Yeah.
specifically, this is not aviation based, but my daughter's selling her house.
Hmm. Okay.
So I asked ChatGTP, I said, find me some buyers in Salt Lake City.
Hmm.
And it gave me all this stuff. And I said, yeah, that's okay, fine. But here's why I want to refine it and do this again. And yeah, that's cool, but add this and do it again. And the cool thing is, it doesn't get pissed off.
You can go back and
just
forth as
keep
many
telling
times.
it what to do and changing a parameter here and a parameter there. But it's intensive. You have to do it
Hmm.
to end up getting what you want.
Right.
If
That
you
is
don't, you'll end up with trash.
right. That's exactly right. And I think that's where, a lot of people go wrong is, if it doesn't give you exactly what you want, they think, they just throw up their hands and walk away instead of asking it, how do I get more refined data based on this statistic or this parameter? And it's a matter of thinking like a computer. And kids are really good at this because they teach coding in schools, take a step back and think more specifically or more directly. um, how do I get what I want out of this list? Or how do I get what I need out of this list? Or, I only want the top 100 based on these criteria because I only have time to approach 100 people this week. Um, so, you want to make sure that you're doing what you can to make that work. And if you don't have a sales and marketing process, then you're just wasting your time with ChatGPT or with anything else because you don't know what you're doing, right? So you start with a structure and then you put the instructions into the structure and you're doing much, much better.
Yeah. But again, it's just like the data is there. It can
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah.
I was asking it to get the history and quality of various kinds of pins we may want to use in our marketing.
Yeah.
And it, you know, as long as you're willing to go through an iterative process,
Hmm.
you'll end up giving you some good data.
Yep. All right. So let's get into some specific tasks, now that we're, and actually we'll exit this prospecting and approaching. Any other questions about prospecting and approaching using ChatGPT?
Um, I just want to clarify one thing. So we need to first need to upload a big list into the ChatGPT, and then we give our characteristics of the lookalike audiences, and from that list, does it give the audience, or does it we just give it the characteristic and it looks over the internet and give us names?
Exactly. That's what it does. So if I upload, well, I'll say, here are our best customers. Here's our 100 best customers over the last little while. And the bigger your data set, the more accurate and the better your output's going to be. Here's our 100 best customers, and here's everything I know about them. So I would just export that from Salesforce if a client's using that. Export that data from your CRM, upload it into ChatGPT, and then the prompt would be, these are our best customers. Find me more like these. And you'd have to be very specific, find me more individuals or find me more businesses, and so on. And then it will scrub the internet and come back, ideally, with more that meet those characteristics. And it might come up with, if you give it a list of 100, it may come back with 20. It's not going to be a huge list, but it's something to start with. And they're going to be probably pretty good because it's going to analyze them based on what do these people have in common, right? And how do I find more that have those same characteristics?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, good question.
This is really, really great.
I know, isn't it? It's like, this is stuff that marketers used to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for from, Gartner Group and other consultants, and now it is free. So, it's just incredibly powerful. But again, it's also incredibly frustrating if you're not using it right.
Yes.
I'd like to make a note here, and that is
Okay,
we are talking
report
about,
back.
we are talking, don't do that. We are talking about ChatGPT.
Yes.
There are several others out there that you need to be careful of because several of them, how do I say this, are political in their response. And we don't need that in aviation. We need just the base data, straight stuff. Some of them use sources that we probably wouldn't. And so be very careful when you decide to go away from ChatGPT. And I'm not selling stuff, but I'm just from various things that I've seen, read, and tried.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. I do think that all of them are powerful and all of them are great. ChatGPT just happens to be the one that we spent the most time with and the one that has, I guess, the longest track record and so on. So, most of our examples in this will work in other tools. And, of course, now we're going to talk about image generation. And the reason we're going to do this is because we're following the wheel around to holding pattern. This is where we start creating marketing materials and, sending people emails and engaging with them on social media and other things. So, once they've already made contact with us, it's usually a pretty long space of time between they met us for the first time and we're actually doing business together. So during that amount of time, there's quite a bit of material that we want to generate for them to build that relationship. So now we're going to talk about image generation. This is work that was done by Angel. So Angel, did you want to run through this? My question to Angel was, what is the best image generator for our company to get good at? And, which should we invest in?
For me, I have been experimenting all the image generation tools, AI, and what really I'm more comfortable with is Gemini, because yes, I did the image generator in ChatGPT, but we always argue a lot with AI because it really generates something that me myself can say that this is AI, that I am not satisfied with it. So when I discovered Gemini from Google AI, it really give me the results that I want. It because I'm doing some of the B rolls. So if I can't find any stock photos for B rolls, I can just go to Gemini and refine my prompts, and the results are more like a real photography compared to other tools.
Mhm.
And yeah, for image generation part of our process, we've been really refining the way we really write our prompts so that the results will look good, that it is more on a real photography side. And one thing that has made our big difference is adding a specific photography details, like things that type of lighting that we want, the lens length, the angle of the shot, and even the atmosphere or emotion we want the scene to have. Because by doing this, we're giving the AI much clearer version of what we want. The images come out more natural, more consistent. We can create different scenarios with a consistent character, and less AI looking, which means we don't spend as much time fixing it or regenerating again and again, which will take us about almost half a day because
To get a good image, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
because it's if we really want something, we really want to be it something exactly what we have in our minds, our idea. So um, we also noticed that if we stay consistent with a certain tool and practice with it regularly, we start understanding how it interprets the details we give to the AI. That that helps us adjust our prompts faster and produce better results each time. So, starting with a raw idea, um, describing it visually and layering in those photography details. It really helped AI understand the shot we're imagining, and it keeps our visuals aligned with the quality we want in aviation content. And yeah, just like this, we experiment some of the AI tools with just one same prompt, and we can really see that some of these are really AI generated. So experimenting and the tools you want to be more familiar with is really helpful, and more for in the long term, you feel more comfortable with it and you get to know the AI more. So yeah.
I
Right.
use Adobe all the time, and
Yeah.
Adobe has all sorts of AI tools built into
Yeah.
like Photoshop, or they have Firefly, which I don't particularly like, but the tools that are built into the actual tools I already use are
Mhm.
very useful.
Mhm.
Because if I'm going to do, say, something like this, I want that to look like a specific plane because
Yeah.
it will really make me crazy if it's made up. Like,
Right.
I can't stand that.
There's a
But
really low tolerance for inaccuracy in aviation. Yeah.
well, yeah, especially if like I'm selling planes that look
Yeah.
like we're selling somebody a specific plane. We're not
Mhm.
selling somebody a generic plane.
Right.
So, but I think it's really useful to get to know it because your competitors are going to use it. So you
Mhm.
have to figure it out.
Right. Exactly. And some of our clients have, privacy concerns and other things. So, they can't just have images of their clients or images of their clients' planes or, whatever the situation is. So this
That into
removes,
an AI tool because, like, how do you know what's happening with that information? That's my biggest issue with it. This
yeah.
is our specific tools that we own.
Hmm. Right.
Into who knows what's happening to your information out there.
That is also true. And that's the other side that we're not talking about today. We're basically being super pragmatic on the marketing side. How do we get better marketing results with AI? We're not talking about ethics. We're not talking about information security or any of those other things, which we could go down that rabbit hole as far as we wanted and never come back. So,
Well, but one thing that we probably should, well, we need to talk about it, but it will become a concern, I think, in the future.
yeah.
This stuff is in its infancy. So,
Mhm.
it's going to learn and it's going to get better,
Mhm.
assuming it does. Then some enterprising attorney is going to say, that picture is from one of our things, and how are you going to prove it's not?
Yeah, exactly. So, there are some concerns with using it. And, until those are resolved, there is a certain amount of risk involved with this. Um, Personally, and I know there's been enough, I think, reputable agencies, especially, even if Coca-Cola is using it in their marketing materials, they are a litigation target for everybody. So, if it looks too much like somebody's art, they're going to sue Coca-Cola. And we'll have to see how that works before we decide what implications there are for us. But in the meantime, as long as this does not resemble anything I've ever seen, and, there's a limited amount of art in business aviation. Everybody's seen all the same iStock photos, you know, many, 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 many times. So as long as it doesn't look familiar to us, I'm going to assume that that is going to be fair use. And we're going to we have in our base camp. This is when we generated it. Those are the tools that we used. We've got the details. So if all else fails, we can claim good faith, right? And all right. So Angel, your favorite is Gemini. My favorite is Midjourney. Um, we also sometimes use different tools for different clients. We've got one client that has kind of a vintage Pan Am 1940s travel poster look. What do you use? What do you guys use for Logue Aviation? Which tool?
I'm using still Gemini and I
Okay.
just give the sample images that
Gotcha.
from previous posts, and then I just change the name of the aircraft, and it generates same style.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So, if you have a particular style for a particular campaign or a particular client, you can always, save those prompts or elements of those prompts, reuse them, and get some nice, nice, nice consistency in your images as well. Questions about image generation for Angel before we move on? All right. I think this. Oh, go ahead.
Right. I took a sec to turn off the.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Not a question, but this is really helpful to see the difference between the different tools,
Hmm.
as well as the help with the prompt. I just played around with something for a Christmas social media post,
Nice.
and I didn't put in nearly the detail you did. I may have to go back and do that, but um, it turned out to be really cute with Santa waving from our two-seat, concept with reindeer flying by. So, anyways,
Nice.
it's amazing what they can do.
I have to tell you, Angel's prompts are about twice as long as this now. I took this example from a few months ago, and she's added a whole lot more detail to that. Anyway, yeah, no, excellent point. All right, so let's move on from that to actual generation from nothing. Adila, you've got some really good tools for that.
Yes. So, one of our clients, they asked to include a video of a certain aircraft, and pictures were available, but not the video of that certain aircraft flying. So, what I did, I downloaded the pic and then I uploaded it on um, ChatGPT, basically. And then I gave my prompt in you can say, very simple language. And what I asked ChatGPT
Okay.
is that I have to give a prompt to a video editing tool. So can you please write me a prompt? And then I gave it like lame instructions that I please include some photographic language, some videographic language as well. And I want it to be very good, like it's flying. So like very simple language, but I asked ChatGPT to write me a prompt. So ChatGPT wrote me a prompt, and I copied that prompt and I pasted in the Canva AI tools. It gives us a video clip option. I pasted the prompt, I pasted the image that I wanted to use in the video, and then it generated a video that was actually usable. So I think it's in the next slides.
Great. Yeah.
This
I
is
didn't
the
realize
prompt
this
that
had sound in it.
yes,
Okay.
I didn't realize it, but when I played it, it has a sound in it.
Right. Wow. Okay.
So yeah. So
Excellent.
this is the prompt that ChatGPT created. It is shorter version. It has also all the videographic details and photographic details and lightning details as well. So this is the result. So I think this is a very good tool, which we can use for video clips as well. And I also tested it. I had an image of a flower, you can say. So I just prompted with Canva AI just for checking, like I was playing around, that show a girl wearing this flower t-shirt walking around, a college student. And the video quality was really great. It actually showed the girl wearing the shirt, and I was amazed. But there is a problem that Canva AI only lets uh, you can say generate 5 video clips, I think, per month.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to increase the limit, but I think it's very good. One of the best video generation tool that I have used. Canva AI was very good.
Right. Right. Excellent.
Adobe has all sorts of tools like this. I have Adobe Creative Suite.
Uh-huh.
I also bought, because I have the image package anyway. They just add the credits for AI stuff. So I'm gonna have to try this and see
Yeah.
how it
And
works.
Debbie, I know you were doing videos before it was cool, by
I did
basically.
I did it by hand.
Yeah.
And it's actually really quick to do by hand. I could probably do it quicker than you could
Yeah.
ask me to do it,
You
but
just do the moving background and the airplane. Of course, you want to make sure that it's matching up.
and I used
Yeah.
to get the backgrounds from Canva.
Mm-hmm.
They have good moving skies.
Mm-hmm.
So
They do.
anyway,
then
I'm sure it could work. I'll have to try it and see how it works.
Yeah. So you set your cutout against a moving sky. That's always an option as well.
I did that for our social media a lot because movement attracts eyes
It does.
to show something off.
Right. Other questions or thoughts for Adila? I will add voiceover has become, I was telling my team yesterday, 6 months ago, I never, ever, ever would have suggested using the AI voiceover tools because they were terrible. They were annoying. They're just jarringly bad. But we've done AI voiceovers for 2 clients now that like them. And actually they don't bother me all that much. And I've actually caught John watching documentaries that had AI voices in them. So I mean, if you can watch a documentary and the AI voice doesn't bother you, I guess if it's a topic that you're really interested in or whatever, you can still tell it's AI, but it's not as bad as it used to be, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the AI voices. It clearly, it's very clearly a voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, it simplifies a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
My wife will show me, something that she saw online, and it's like, yeah, that's clearly a voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
The content is there, and people kind of, I think, look past it. It's not as professional, but a lot of the content doesn't have to be. And frankly, it's a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot faster. So, you find that area that you think is reasonable. And, if you really need it, I haven't seen any movies that have been done with AI voiceovers, but I'm sure it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. YouTube's voiced over, and you can tell. But people aren't going there to listen to the voiceover. They're there because of the content that just happens to be spoken.
Right. They need the information, so they'll tolerate a certain level of discomfort with the voice. But yeah, I'm hoping those get. Mm-hmm.
You could probably change the voiceover with multiple iterative prompts if you really wanted to.
You can improve on it. That's true.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You'd probably have it copy somebody's cadence.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually experimented with this and it's worked out pretty well for me. I take the AI video and then record my own voice over it, like where I'm speaking along with it, and then mush them together, and the AI actually will put my voice over the thing, and it works out pretty well.
That is brilliant. And those videos actually are really some of the best I've seen. Ericka actually fooled her own mother with one of these, right?
I did. Yep, sure did.
I think that's so amazing. That's like you can't get better than that in terms of a testimony. And I'm like, well, you look a little stiff, but you did a great job. And I thought it was Ericka. So that was a stunning moment for me. Cool. Any other questions about video before we move on? Okay, I know we're running out of time, so we'll kind of zoom through email marketing. I love using ChatGPT to outline campaigns. Basically, here's the campaign goal, and of course, every campaign has a list, an offer, and a presentation. You give it that information. You say, "Here's our offer. How do I present this in the most compelling way in a 3-part series or a 5-part series of emails?" You can create an autoresponder pretty simply using an AI tool, especially ChatGPT is my drug of choice here for this. And then of course you do have to take all the pieces and put them together into Mailchimp or your sender, whatever that is. But it will give you some pretty good starting places for emails. I always change the first paragraph because that's usually what gives it away is AI. Um, so, if you read any emails from me, the first paragraph is always me, whether or not it was touched by AI at any point along the way. And I think that kind of gives you a nice way of introducing the topic. And then if the rest of it is not perfect, if the beginning and the ending are good, then I think people have a little bit of tolerance for what's in the middle. And I do not mind M dashes. I've always written with M dashes. They say those are an AI giveaway, but I used to use M dashes when we were writing in blue books. I don't know if any of you guys remember when we used to have to write essays with a blue pen in a book in school on some of those AP tests and things like that. So,
why would an M dash be a giveaway? Is it simply that most people don't know how to use an M dash, and so they don't? I mean, it's a very important tool. I always use an M dash.
Oh yeah, I love M dashes, but there's been a lot of talk, I think, especially on LinkedIn, about if you see a post with M dashes, that's a giveaway that it's AI. But
I guess I'm an AI chatbot then.
I guess so, both of us, you and I both. So that's cool. All right, articles, infographics, and longer pieces. Once again, I love to ask chat if I'm working on an article for someone about something. It's like, I need a joke here, or I need a statistic here, or I need a story here to capture interest about this topic. And I ask it for 10, give me 10 relevant facts, 10 cool statistics, 10 jokes, 10 historical stories or something like that. And then it will give you a bunch to choose from. And then you cherry pick from those, what suits your material best. So rather than having it write your material, you can have it save you time, be your research assistant in putting together information. Like for this infographic, I would ask it for 10 different statistics about this aircraft. And then I took 2 of them and put them, or 3 of them and put them in here. I'd ask it about the range and ask it to portray that in a map. I let it draw the map because ChatGPT maps aren't terrible. And it's okay if they look like they're AI generated because it's just a map, right? And it's very small in an infographic. So, if you ask it for things and you ask it for a variety and then you cherry pick from the things that are the most interesting, then you're using your human brain and its depth of and its speed. So everybody's doing what they do best, right? You're
So,
picking. Go ahead.
quick question. Why, and this would be, I'm assuming the human part of it,
Yeah.
why nautical miles per hour instead of knots? And why not use great circle image?
Oh, good question in both cases. This was actually a customer-facing piece, so it was not for aviation nerds. So, I think civilians, muggles, whatever we want to call them, people who are not in aviation feel a little bit better about miles than knots, or at least have a better concept of miles than knots. And I have to say nautical miles because that's more accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's still knots.
Yeah,
It's just rewritten as nautical miles per hour, which is knots.
exactly.
So the people that fly in jets, you don't think understand that they're all of the speeds and things are done in knots? Interesting.
This actually was a piece for a high school group. We were doing a
Okay. Yeah,
career kind of a deal. Um,
got it.
yeah, so, and that's another thing is if you tell it your audience, and say our audience is engineers, it's gonna write this a little bit differently. But yeah, good question. Thank you for picking up on that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Um, right, and then I think everybody's writing can be improved by adding facts, figures, jokes, statistics, stories, anything else. There's a lot of things that you can do as a human, uh, to add to your writing using ChatGPT as a research assistant. Anne Handley wrote a book, that's excellent about writing, using ChatGPT as well. Um, okay, so networking with ChatGPT. If I'm meeting with somebody at a networking event and I am a nerd, I am really, really bad at first contact with a human I don't know. So I'll say, suggest 3 topics that I could discuss with this person based on some mutual interests. And if I do this before I go meet with somebody, I will feel a whole lot better about meeting with them for the first time because I know there's at least these 3 topics that we could probably fall into pretty easily and feel pretty good about. Um, so, I know it's awkward, uh, to think about networking using a robot, but it can be a really great and actually I heard this, advice from a column written by a shrink, and it was actually written to somebody who was on the spectrum. "How can I be more comfortable in social settings?" And they said, "Just be prepared, know something about the people you're going to be talking to and be interested in some of these topics." If you look for topics that you're mutually interested in, you're just gonna feel a whole lot better about it. So, is this artificial? Yeah, it is. But am I using it for real human interaction? Yeah. And do I feel okay about that? Absolutely.
You could probably do that. This speeds up
Yeah.
ability to do that. You could probably do that without using an AI tool, but it'd be
Mhm.
longer.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right. No, this is cool, especially if you're meeting somebody that's, like, famous and stuff, and so there's a lot of stuff that's been written about this person. You can, pretty easily, uh find some common ground with somebody who is famous or maybe, the CEO of a company, and you just feel really weird about talking to them. You can feel better if you know, "Hey, we both are interested in, car racing." One of our clients had a client they were meeting with and, we're doing an approach plan for them and said like, "You know what? You guys have this in common." And that first meeting went a whole lot more smoothly, because they had that interest that was pretty specific and, something that's really interesting to both of them. And then it makes it just a whole lot less awkward in that first couple of seconds. And then usually people are fine after that. It's just that first couple of seconds that people feel weird about if they're like me.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So I know we're coming on the end of the hour, but this is a vast simplification of our process. I know my team is laughing right now because they're just going, you know how many arrows there are back and forth between each of these stages? And it is not this simple, but just to portray kind of how it happens. We meet with a client during office hours. We decide, here are our priorities for the month. This is what we need to do. These are some of the pieces of content that we need to generate. We use ChatGPT to optimize some of those ideas for some of the keywords. We have a top 10 list of keywords for each of our clients, so that if we're publishing it anywhere on the web, we know that's going to be optimized and it's going to serve our purposes more efficiently than it would otherwise. And then one of our team members, human, refines those ideas and comes up with some proposals and drafts and other things. We use Canva, Gemini, Midjourney, something like that to generate images, put those together into a final concept of some kind, and then yet another human. We always have at least 2 humans involved in any piece of content. Fact checks, reviews the English for John to make him feel better. Actually, not just for John, but for everyone, right? Okay. And then there are several other tools that we use along the process. Grammarly, SEMrush, ChatGPT might be involved in several of these steps and things like that. But it really is teamwork. You cannot outsource your content to any AI tool. It just isn't done. I mean, it's not there yet, and I don't know that it ever will be as effective coming from um, any AI tool than it is coming from a bunch of smart humans plus the robots, right? Questions on this, or? All right. So I know we're kind of out of time. If you have to leave, that's totally fine. But if you would like to let's go around the room really quickly, and if you want to share one nugget that you learned. John, you want to go first since you were the first one in the room, and then Adila, Mike, Debbie, Ericka, Angel, Francis, Mariel, etc.
I just have a question about
Okay.
a text I sent you early on.
Okay.
Did you want to do anything about that?
Watch time or?
Never mind if you're not watching it.
Yeah, I did see it, and I don't think we're ready to talk about that yet. But
All right.
yeah, cool.
That's all.
Okay, Adila.
I learned about the lookalike audience, and I think that it's something very much interesting for me, and I'm going to try it.
Excellent. Great. Thank you.
Who's next? You'll have to. I don't remember your order, Paula.
Okay, I'm sorry, Michael. Why don't you go next since you unmuted? Okay.
One is I already knew that it's all about the prompt. But the detail in some of the prompts that you showed helped me to think about making my prompts more accurate for what I'm looking for. So there's fewer revisions along the way. And some of the different applications, like before meeting somebody, I mean, they always say, do your homework on the customer, client, the person you're meeting, whatever. I guess I never thought about doing it using AI, but that makes a lot of sense to help get prepared for those things. So just another application. Thanks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It does seem like cheating, doesn't it?
No, it sounds like saving me some time.
There you go.
Maybe the other person is also doing the same thing.
Right. That's
Good luck
true.
finding. I try to hide my background. We don't want all that stuff coming out. Keep the dirty laundry hidden.
Heaven forbid, right? Exactly. Debbie, and then Ericka, and anyone else that wants to share.
I think Deb left.
Okay, cool. We'll just open it up then. And Kelly, I know you're here as well. I wanted to say hi, and I'm glad you're here. And then Angel, and then Ying, and then I think we're going to segue into our group office hours after that. So that'll be great.
And just for me, in today's world, AI is really, really powerful tool, but creativity still relies on human insight to connect more emotionally and culturally. Because I've read the news about the Coca-Cola ad AI generated, and there's a lot of people really criticizing that ad because it doesn't feel human. There's no warmth on it. So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Ying.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the primary value of AI like ChatGPT or Gemini is to free up like a significant amount of time and creative work. But you mentioned earlier, Paula, that we should have a solid marketing strategy in place at first, because if not, AI will accelerate our failure. So it becomes bad marketing. Yeah, and so just start with the structure and then put the instructions into the structure, and then we're gonna do much better. So I also agree with Angel when she mentioned with using Gemini as the one of the most helpful AI for image generation, since I've also used Gemini before, and it really gives us a lot more realistic shots and maintains character consistency. However, we also should take it with a grain of salt, because it also depends on what the clients want and what their branding and their goals are. So yeah, I think that's it.
Excellent. Yeah, no, excellent points. And you're absolutely right. You can go very far astray with a huge amount of confidence, because it will tell you, this is great when it's not. So it's very complimentary of our work, even when we're really barking up the wrong tree. And it's really easy to do that. All right. Anybody else want to contribute a nugget that you learned today? And all right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. That was a great workshop. Like I said, we do this every single year. And every year it's different because the tools have changed and people's attitudes and everything else have changed about it. So hopefully everybody got the workbook downloaded and got some good notes and got some good information out of it. And I really appreciate you coming. So thank you so much.